Yeah, we'll go ahead and start talking about Lucha Underground Season 2. I know there was a lot of anticipation from fans, especially on our website, because it was such a well-received show. At what point did you find out that there was going to be a second season, or did you know all along there was going to be a second season?
I mean, I know that there was talk about the second season, of course, the whole time. I mean, I know when we first started season one, that was one of the goals that everybody set for ourselves is, hey, let's do our best on season one, and hopefully there'll be a season two. But I really found out probably around the same time everybody else did. I was kind of waiting in the wings, hoping that it was going to happen. There were some things that had to be worked out, and I'm happy that they did. So we're happy to be back and to have another go at Lucha Underground.
What kind of changes are you going to have to make for the second season?
I mean, there will be natural changes in story and in storyline. There'll be a few different things that'll happen based on the ending of last season. But for the most part, I think we're gonna stick with what got us there and just trying to keep making a compelling television show.
Now we've seen some interesting stories about a few talents. Obviously, there were rumors that Hernandez was leaving AAA as Mystic 2.0 is. Do you know what the status of him for season two? Because I mean he is one of your trios champions, right?
Yeah, Hernandez is one of our trios champions, and as far as I know, he's going to be there for season two with us here on Lucha Underground. So that's what I know right now. So uh, unless that changed tomorrow, then that's what we'll do it. But from my understanding, he will be ready to rock for season two for Lucha Underground.
Also, there were rumors that Big Rick was announcing his retirement. His manager came out and said that wasn't the case. Uh, did you have any conversations with him regarding that, or is he not going to be a part of the next season?
Um, as of right now, yeah, Big Rip will not be a part of season two of Lucha Underground. So we wish Rick the best, but at this point, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction.
And obviously, there was the big return of Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron, to WWE.
Mhm.
What was your reaction to finding out that he was going back to WWE, and were there talks to include him in the second season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had, you know, there were things that he was working out amongst himself. I really didn't know that he was going to go back to the WWE, but I did know that it was a mutual decision to part ways with him. So,
One of the things I loved the most about Lucha Underground was the real character development that happens, and there are a lot of guys that don't even speak English on the show. Like, uh, for in particular, I thought that the Son of Havoc, Evilise, Angelico stuff was some of the best stuff in wrestling because I thought that Angelico was a total asshole at the beginning of that season. And by the end of the season, you have Evilise, and I wasn't a fan of the intergender stuff until Evilise and that story and everything that those three went through, and it culminated in all the crazy stuff that Angelico does. I mean, how you all obviously put great effort into these characters and the stories involving each characters and making
yep.
people emotionally invested. How important is that to your program?
I think that's probably the most important aspect of our program. And that kind of goes back to, I think, when I first started and when some of the other writers first got on board. And, even my initial conversations with Eric Van Wagenen was we wanted to make stories and write stories about characters that people cared about and that people invested in, and to give everybody, as many people as possible, certainly, an identity and to make you care for them on the show. I mean, there's nothing that's more of a pet peeve of mine in wrestling than a show that only focuses on one or two talents when there's a large amount of programming to be filled. You have to get the audience. They're investing their time, and we want to give them characters that they can like or hate, and reward them with a payoff for investing their time and staying and watching the show with us.
Another one of my favorites is Pentagon Jr. to the point to where, and I'm a big, like, mainstream wrestling fan, but I was asked the question last year, who did I think the three best booked wrestlers in the world were, and I thought it was Jay Lethal, Brock Lesnar, and Pentagon Jr. Without a doubt, I had never heard of Pentagon very, very much, and a few months into Lucha Underground, I was like, man, this guy his character's perfect. I've never heard him speak a word of English, and then the story arc with Vampiro was just perfect. Everything was great about his character. Do you all run into obstacles trying to get over a guy who can't speak English when you're catering it towards maybe an English market?
I don't think so, and I think that a guy like Pentagon, you didn't need him to speak any English to get what he was trying to say. So I think that that's the beauty of what a talented guy that is he can translate emotion so easily, and across the television screen and even to the live audience, and he's just a gifted and talented guy, and I think the future is bright for him. He's just a super talent and a great guy to work with, and hopefully Pentagon Jr. keeps breaking arms and taking names.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people to watch in wrestling, period. Now it's amazing the characters that were just built from scratch. With a lot of people had no idea who a giant portion of these people were.
Yep.
And now they're some of the most emotionally invest. I don't know what word I would use, but you can emotionally invest in these people. Like I mentioned earlier, Eva Lise, she was hobbling around with a broken leg, still defending her title. I was like, that's amazing. Also, a special request: anytime Angelico is in a match, you all should put a camera on Vampiro. Because I love looking in the background, and you all don't draw attention to it, but anytime he does something crazy,
Vamp gets up and jumps and runs around the ring.
It's so great. I always point that out to people whenever they watch. I think it's just amazing. Now, obviously, as you all get more successful, you all are going to have to battle people like New Japan and WWE and like that for the talent. Is that something you're prepared to do? Is there a strategy involved in that?
I think that right now we're focused on our show and our show only, and continuing to make our show the best show possible. And we have a great relationship with AAA in Mexico and a partnership in this. So I think that there's just so many people down there that we haven't even introduced into this world and into our world. And at the same time, we're always keeping our ear to the street and always watching people who are out there and keeping an eye on talent that's out there. So I'm not really concerned about it. We're a different show, and we've said a lot, like we're not competing with the WWE. They do a totally different thing than we do, and we're our own kind of in our own world and happy where we are.
Now, you are the executive producer. How involved are you in the writing process?
I write every episode with two other guys, everything. So everything that happens, all the matches, everything like that, all comes from me.
And what kind of obstacles do you all face when you're producing these? Do you have to deal with the talent ego or scheduling issues? What are the biggest obstacles you faced?
Yeah, there's scheduling issues with everything, but we're pretty organized production company, and working with the people from Burnett, it's not their first rodeo making television shows. So there's a lot of talented people behind the scenes that help put all of this kind of together and make sure everybody's there and when and where and even people from the L Rate Network. Everything is thought out and planned, and obviously, like any show or any television show, there are always little bumps in the road and things that happen and things you have to adjust. But that's the beauty of making a television show. It's never going to be completely perfect, but you can. We have a pretty solid team in place to be able to do that and to give us the best opportunity to put the most creative and entertaining product on TV.
Now, you worked for the WWE in the past. Do you keep in touch with anybody there, and have they given you any feedback about Lucha Underground?
Yeah, I've heard. I've actually heard from a few people there. Actually, Ryan Ward from NXT sent me a text last night and told me that he rather enjoyed Lucha Underground. So that's cool, and I told him I like his show too. So
Well, to be fair, I've never, and I mean, you know how obviously like angry wrestling fans can be at some point. I've never heard anybody just flat out go, you know what, that Lucha Underground, it really sucks. I'm never gonna watch it again. I don't hear that from people.
Yeah, that's a good thing, I think. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can keep getting more and more awareness about the show and get more people to watch it and generate more excitement about this brand, because there's a lot of talented performers on it that I think that the world should get to see.
Do you think that the down period, I guess the off season for you all, will be a good thing or a bad thing? Or
I mean,
something you're gonna
I've
wait and
always
see?
I've always personally been in favor of it. That was something I was a proponent of in WWE, but it's just not possible there, or at least they won't make it possible there. I just think it builds anticipation. It gives you creatively some time to reset and look at things a different way. And it also gives the talent a little bit of a break. But we're a different kind of show than that. They're a touring show like the circus on the road every week. We are not. So to me, I like it. I mean, I think that's it's in this era of binge watching and 1 hour dramas. I think we kind of fit right in with that, and that's what I kind of enjoy, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to be a part of Lucha Underground.
You mentioned how WWE is a touring show. Have there ever been any talks or plans of live events for Lucha Underground?
I mean, I don't know about plans, and that's kind of out of my realm. I mostly deal with creative and the television show, but I've heard various things about the possibility of doing stuff like that in the future. But as of right now, that's not really my thing to worry about.
And you also mentioned binge watching, and there was a huge movement to get Lucha Underground on Netflix. Have there been any talks, or did they kind of just no-sell that?
No, I think there have been talks, and I think that they're still figuring things out like that. I'm not really, again, that's something that somebody who handles that kind of stuff does. I stick to writing the show, creating the show, producing the show, and those kinds of things. So that's kind of a little bit out of my wheelhouse. You might want to ask Eric Van Wagenen those questions. He's the big boss. He knows those. He knows those answers.
I'd love to talk to him as well. We also have a lot of fans in the UK. Do you know, or is that more of a question for him about if there's any chance of it getting picked up in the UK?
Yeah, I think that's more of a question for him. For me, like, yeah, again, I strictly try to stick with the creative of the show, and they have given. I actually enjoy that part of the job, is that they let me stick to what I know and what I'm good at and what my team is good at, and we focus on that, and I think that helps us continue to make great television shows.
Well, speaking of the creative, do you ever have ideas that you think, like, when you worked with WWE, that you think would have been great and maybe didn't come to fruition? Have you ever used any of those with Lucha Underground?
No.
So, I mean, like, do you have any particular ideas that were shot down in WWE that you thought would have went exceptionally well?
To be honest with you, I pitched so many ideas in WWE that never happened that I couldn't even begin to remember the amount of ideas that I had. I mean, I was there for 7 years, so yeah. You pitch for every one you get on, you pitch 99 unless you're not pitching any, and I was always pitching ideas. So, I think that. I don't really. It's a different kind of world and a different universe. I think it's something that I think Lucha Underground is kind of the wrestling that, in a way, I dreamed of as a child, and stuff like the kind of thing that I would like to see. And I think that kind of, and I think even our other writers, Chris and Matt, it's kind of the same thing for them, and we kind of have a lot of fun doing this.
So I mean, that had to be somewhat of a frustrating environment to pitch so many ideas, and obviously if you're pitching them, you probably think they're good, and you say maybe 1 out of 100 get through. I mean, how was that different, like, mentally, being at a place where obviously you've pitched a lot of stuff because you're writing every show and almost everything is working here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how does How does that feel to know that, I mean, what you're doing worked, but so many of the ideas that you pitched just didn't happen?
Yeah, it's just a different environment there. It's a lot more there's a lot more politics at play and things like that. And I think it's just it's a totally different world there. And in there you're making the show that Vince wants to make, and he's the boss and he gets the final say. So to me, it's a totally different environment. It's cool. The people with El Rey Network and from Burnett, they've been like really awesome to work with and have trusted my team and Eric has been awesome and open to listening to our ideas and accepting our ideas. I mean, sure, we still get notes from them and changes that they might like, but they're willing to work with us, and that's what I think, that balance has helped make this show so good. We're at the WWE. It's just a totally different environment. I mean, not only do you have to pitch your ideas in the writers' room, then you got to get them through Vince. Then might forget about them, and then you've got to talk about them on an airplane ride. Then once you get there, then you have the agents involved, and those guys all have their say in what happens, and the talent has their say in what happens. And by the time you get to shoot the show, and then you have to go back and take what you wrote back to Vince and have him approve it again and maybe rewrite it. It is a long process, and I think sometimes some of the heart of the show gets lost in all of that.
There was also a pretty highly publicized issue with Hernandez earlier this year, who showed up on TNA TV. What was your reaction to seeing him on there, and what is the relationship like? I know that he was released from his Lucha Underground deal.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised, but I was probably more surprised that TNA allowed that to happen. But
should you be at this point?
I don't know.
I know you probably don't want to say anything bad about them, but I mean, I'm forced to watch them every week.
Yeah, it was a strange scenario. I just you figure that businesses would check up on each other and or check up on contracts and things like that. But it happened. It was what it was. I really have nothing but respect for Hernandez. I personally like him. I know that he was, maybe he was confused. I don't know about the whole situation, what he thought. That's not my kind of deal. But personally, I don't have any problem with him. I personally like the guy. So. It's unfortunate that it happened that way, but hey, you gotta move on. Life goes on.
Indeed, and you mentioned about how you enjoyed working with El Rey. Have there been any like storylines or matches or anything in particular that they've just been over the moon about, excited that they went out of their way to compliment you about?
There are compliments sometimes, but I know that everybody at the El Rey Network is super excited about this upcoming season and some of the things that we have planned, and they really allow us to push the boundaries and to try things, and that's the cool part about having a show on Robert Rodriguez's own network. Like, you get to do cool stuff and kind of mold the show in the way that kind of Robert and his network are. It's a cool, fun, hip network, and they've been really, really awesome people to work with.
There's obviously another California promotion, PWG, which is very comparable to you guys. It's almost like an American and Hispanic version of each other, and you all share a lot of the same talent.
Yep.
Is that somewhere that you look for talent when we're scouting out things? Because we've seen the Brian Cage, Willie Mack, people like that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you can't live in Los Angeles and not be aware of PWG. So definitely, I love to go to the shows when I can, and obviously we've seen some of those guys there, and you've got your Prince Puma and your Cage and. Willie Mack, a lot of those guys you see there. And now, actually, some of our guys have, some of the guys from Mexico, like Pentagon and Phoenix and Angelico and Jack Evans have popped up there. So it's kind of cool to see. And they're a great promotion. And I really admire a lot of the stuff they've done.
I remember somebody was asking me, I can't remember what it was, but we got on the topic of how Lucha Underground creates stars. And I noted that you all made stars out of 3 of the cast members of Tough Enough, and WWE couldn't make stars out of any of them from that 2011 season.
That is true.
I looked up and down the roster. I was like, hey, I know that name. Hey, I know that name. Why do I know all these names? Oh, well, they were guys that WWE passed on after Tough Enough, and even the Marty the Moth thing, I was like, that's perfect for him. I remember seeing him on Tough Enough, and I was like, I don't know how I could enjoy him as a character, and then I see him in this, and I'm like, that's perfect.
Right.
And obviously, like I said, Ivelisse, completely turned me 180 on the intergender wrestling stuff because of how well that went. Another big name that's become obviously a big star for you all is Prince Puma. We've had a lot of people asking, has there ever been any talk or any possibility of him just using the Ricochet name there?
I wouldn't imagine that we would do that. We've already established him as Prince Puma, and he's one of our main characters, so I don't see that happening.
Hard for me to imagine a bigger match than Rey Mysterio versus Prince Puma, because those are it's just 2 unbelievable guys.
Absolutely, that for sure is a dream match. I would probably be like a little kid if I got to.
What's the process like when you bring in a new talent, especially on an episodic show like this, where, as I mentioned, the character is so important and you're introducing a new name? What's that process like for you all?
Sometimes, depending on who it is, we introduce them and then start to, rather than hit you over the head with everything that they are right away, try to slowly develop the character and drop little pieces and hints and things like that about who these people are. Keep the audience asking questions. I think that's an important thing about what we're able to do at Lucha Underground. And we're excited when we have new talents all the time. It does often become difficult, and we have to really kind of space things out and look at our time because we only have an hour show, so there's only so many people that can appear on every episode. So, I wish, I don't wish actually. I was gonna say, if we had 3 hours, sure, everybody would be on it, but then I think we'd be in a whole different space creative. I think the good thing about that 1 hour thing is we leave people wanting more. We have different people in the main event every week, and you don't get burned out on the same people every week. It's like, every week it feels like something new because you're seeing someone, or maybe you hadn't seen Sexy Star for 2 weeks, and it's like, oh, cool, here's her storyline. It's picking back up, and I think that's made us unique, and it's been fun to do the show that way.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that I think that hour is perfect for you guys, and you always you almost leave either on a cliffhanger or on like a really high note.
Yeah.
That makes people want to tune in the next week, which I think is something that's missing from a lot of other shows. And also, 3 hours, while I was all for it because, hey, that's more money for me as somebody who writes about wrestling.
Right.
Those Mondays come and I don't look forward to 3 hours anymore.
Yeah.
But when Wednesdays happen and there is Lucha Underground for an hour and there's NXT for an hour, I know it's a perfect mix. And you've also brought in like some established guys before too, like Daivari and Chavo Guerrero.
Yep.
Daivari doesn't necessarily play the same character that he did on other shows.
Right.
Is that something that you're all on board for, even though fans might recognize him as somebody they've seen do something else?
Yeah, I think we're fine with that. We just didn't really want to go down the stereotypical, have him make him a Sheik or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what every other wrestling company in the world probably would have done and has done. So, we're not going to put him in shoes with the tips curled up or anything like that, or give him a magic carpet or anything like that. That's just that's not really how we do things in Lucha Underground. And another thing is I think we're okay with having some established guys and introducing them as themselves a little bit. I think it creates kind of this cool world between the two, and especially for new fans who are tuning in, it gives them somebody who they can relate to right away. And that was something at the very beginning that I thought was important, was to have a few established people and then build storylines with other guys too, and introduce other guys through them. At least it creates some familiarity rather than just tuning in and it's a bunch of guys you've never seen before.
Funny story about Daivari. I remember on the independent circuit before he got to WWE, he actually used to do a frog splash.
Yeah, he did with the carpet.
With the magic carpet, yeah.
I actually love, by the way, but yeah, we decided to go a little bit different route with him.
Well, it worked with him too. I thought that was a unique character as well. Like I said, that's one thing when people ask me about the show, I'm just like it's characters and it's not gimmicks. It's just characters and you like I said, Angelico I thought was the biggest douchebag in the universe, and how can you dislike him now? I mean, there's no way. It was awesome.
His character redeemed himself and took a big risk that basically led to this team being united, and I think he proved himself to be good.
Yeah,
which is I think is classic storytelling.
Now you all do the trios, which I mean, obviously I've talked about a lot, but was that always the plan to do the 6-man?
Yeah, that was something in the beginning that I thought would, we're trying to make ourselves different in every way we could. And I think that was something that we thought would be different and unique and fun and still kind of, keep with Lucha and the roots in Lucha. So yeah, it's been fun to do that and to have trios teams, and it enables us to make crazy combinations and have fun with it. I think that trios tournament was pretty successful little 4-show thing, and it was a fun thing to be able to mix and match, people who worked together, people who didn't want to work together, and it was just Dario Cueto kind of stirring the pot and messing things up, and that's the best part of that character is that he just has motivations to try to just basically raise hell and
he's
have
amazing.
People.
You couldn't have found a better person to play Dario Cueto.
Yeah, I remember in our first days of casting the character, he immediately stood out to us. I remember like Eric and I just being like, oh man, that's him. And then Chris and Matt, they saw him, and like we all sent in independently of each other who we thought was Dario Cueto, and I think all of us came back with the same guy.
If a snake could take a human form, it would be Dario Cueto, and it's perfect. It's perfect for him.
Yeah, and he's so despicable that he's likable, and that's the fun part.
He's so good at his job. Like he just looks like he'd be such a pro. And I don't know if he's ever been like, I don't think he's been involved in wrestling before, but I don't know if he's ever followed wrestling. But it doesn't matter because whatever he does is perfect. It's just good. I can't compare Dario Cueto to any other authority figure because the heel authority figure is old, but Dario Cueto isn't. He makes it work. A couple more questions before we go. You worked with Lucha Underground and WWE. What are some of your favorite storylines you created in WWE and some in Lucha Underground?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many in WWE that I really had fun with and was a part of. I got to be a part of Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker and like the black and white promos. I got to do Jeff versus Matt Hardy. MVP versus Matt Hardy was one of my favorites that I got to do. Punk and Edge, Punk and Ray. Punk and the Straight Edge Society. I mean, there's just a lot of fun times I had there. It's hard to even wrap my head around all the things, that I got to be a part of, that I had a great time with. So, you're kind of a part of everything there. And those are probably definitely some of my favorites to stand out. As far as Lucha Underground goes, I don't know. I really enjoyed the whole season. I love the Master and the Apprentice storyline with Pentagon. Obviously, the Trios champions were amazing, and kind of the rise of Mil Muertes and Katrina has been pretty fun. And Johnny and Puma to me is another one that I love that their rivalry lasted over the entire season, and that to me is pretty cool, and hopefully that rivalry will continue.
Yeah, you mentioned Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. I don't know if you had anything to do with the promo that had the Running Up That Hill song, but that was one of the best promos I've ever seen. And Mil Muertes, that guy has worked everywhere. He's such a versatile dude. A really good hand to have, obviously. Finally, what's it like working for a guy like Vince McMahon versus working? I don't know if it's for yourself, but you're one of the guys in charge now. What are the major differences?
Well, I get to be in charge
Yeah.
about some stuff. It's different. I will not, dude. I learned so much from the McMahons.
Yeah, I
You
was
know,
going to ask you,
and
is there anything you took from that?
and especially from Vince. I mean, really, they helped teach me the wrestling business and a lot about storytelling and things like that. And I got to learn about business. I mean, I was on a corporate jet for 7 years, hearing everything and anything, whether it was marketing or advertising or creative or live events. I really had to got a first, basically a 6 year education there, and I will never, I'll always be honored for my time there. But it's nice to be able to now have a little bit more creative freedom with it, and at the same time, working for Mark Burnett and Eric Van Wagenen and Robert Rodriguez, they're very they trust me, and I like the fact that they trust me and my team, and they let us go wild, and that's, I think, part of the reason that we've been so successful is that they trust in everybody that they hire there, no matter what department you work in, and to come in and do your job, and that's cool. It's nice to be able to go in and be able to do what they hire you to do, and and I will also say, it's with Lucha Underground, it's a team. Everybody had the same goal, like I said from when we first started this interview, and that goal was to get to season 2 and to work our hardest, to put our nose to the ground and make it happen, and we did. And so now the next goal is to get this season done and to make the best season possible and get another one after that. As long as we can keep this show rolling, I think it's really great, not only for the people that are employed on this show, but also for wrestling fans around the world, so that they can, as long as there's more wrestling in the world, it's not a bad thing.
I agree. And the season begins in January, correct?
Yeah, I think it'll be sometime in January. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think that's what they're targeting. But we'll see. We'll definitely be back in 2016. That's for sure.
Well, can you tell the fans anything you want to tell the fans, and also let them know where they can follow you and Lucha Underground on social media?
Well, definitely follow Lucha Underground at Lucha El Rey on Twitter. It's a pretty fun Twitter account. They put some fun stuff out there. And you can follow me at Chris DeJoseph, just my name, Chris, and then DeJoseph. And then, I guess for season 2, I guess, expect a lot more surprises, expect a lot more twists and turns, and expect to have fun. And that's what we're going to try to do. And hopefully we'll deliver.
Well, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Lucha Underground is a breath of fresh air, so thank you for what you all have done, and it's fun to talk about Lucha Underground. It's not hard to find things to ask you about when it comes to Lucha Underground. So, thank you. It's a very great show.
Oh, thank you, Sean. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and to talk about Lucha Underground and help us spread the word about the show. And hopefully we can do this again, and maybe we can talk about season 2 as it's going on at some point.
Absolutely, I'd love to. But thank you very much.